I think we are good to go. And I hope all of you can see my screen. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is our session. We do the session every 2 weeks just to give everyone an overview of what our large language models offerings are. So I will go ahead and get started. My name is Raja Iqbal. I'm the Chief Data Scientist and one of the instructors at Data Science Dojo. Um, and I'm going to basically walk all of you through our training program, the curriculum, and toward the end, we'll be answering any questions that you may have. So we have been around for a long time, for one of the oldest and highest rated boot camps in industry. And our approach has been actually distinct and very different. I come from academia myself, got my PhD a long time ago when machine learning was not mainstream, worked at industry. And the approach that we took or we take in our trainings is we take a more practitioner approach, right? So we are not here to learn purely textbook techniques. We are here to actually learn techniques in the context of business, right? So, think of it as, yes, you don't need to know science part of it, but you also need to know the engineering side of it. So that's the approach that we take. Pretty much, any country, yes, someone from every country on the planet has attended our trainings. More than 3,000 companies globally. We sort of lost track of how many people, 11,000 plus graduates, and so on. So let's jump right in, right? So how did this bootcamp actually start? So the bootcamp actually started when we last year, around this time, actually early last year, Chat GPT had come out, and everyone was, all the enterprises, they were rushing to implement large language model applications. We started helping companies, the consulting arm or the services arm of Data Science Dojo started helping companies building solutions. And for the most part, they were RAG solutions, retrieval augmented generation-based solutions. And then we realized that while many of the use cases are quite easy to understand, quite approachable, just summarize this small piece of text for me, or generate a quiz out of this course material, and so on, right? So those cases are easy. But when you actually decide to deploy something in an enterprise, it is incredibly hard. Companies, there are challenges that may not be obvious when you are using Chat GPT or Bard or Bing Chat for that matter. And I will, at a very high level, summarize, right? So, there is cost associated with it. ChatGPT may, OpenAI or Bard or Bing Chat, they might make you think that, hey, this is all free. But when you adopt a solution like this for enterprise, it is not all free. So, there is cost associated with it, how many tokens, and they charge you per 1,000 tokens and all of that. The context window, which model you can use and which model cannot. You cannot. There are regulatory challenges, right? So you are dealing with you work in some industry that is regulated, healthcare, finance, legal, and for that matter, any industry, right? So you have your PII data, you have your intellectual property that is at risk. How do you handle that? Inference latencies. Your application requires answer or a response from your model in very quickly, fairly short amount of time. How do you do that? Or maybe, for that matter, having that wisdom when do you need to build a low latency application versus a high latency application? Data governance is a big deal. Whether to use open source model or not, you ask the same question again. It's a non-deterministic responses. So your responses can vary. How do you evaluate your new response is correct compared to the previous response? How do you stop hallucinations? How do you update the source of knowledge? How do you evaluate? And your prompts are brittle. Prompts changes. The prompts change, and the response changes drastically. Even a small, a change, a single word, for that matter, a single, punctuation, it changes, and then the response changes drastically. How do you handle these situations? So in real world, in enterprise, there are some serious challenges in adoption of large language models. And then while we started implementing all of these cutting edge technologies, we realized, well, others need to learn what we have learned in while implementing these systems. And that's how this bootcamp actually started. We have three different types of programs. We have some self-paced courses that are out there free. Feel free to take those courses. Our YouTube channel, more than 100,000 subscribers. Go check it out. I mean, we have a lot of webinars that happen besides this webinar. Every other webinar is actually free learning. We have built a big community on LinkedIn, close to 3,000 subscribers now, and we keep posting content there. Then there is live instructor-led courses, short duration courses. The next one that is coming up is next week, which is a large language models, short duration, 5-6 hours course, where we will be actually be calling it LLMs for everyone. And what we will explain is, no matter what your background, you don't have to be in technology. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. If you're interested in how your industry or how LLMs work, for most importantly, how are they different from the other things that have happened in the past. We'll talk about it and how all of these technologies, they are disrupting your industry or your work and so on. So that's a very beginner level course that people who are in technology, they can attend to get a high level idea. So it's a good mix between the technical and the general overview. So check it out. It is there. And then we have another full day course coming up on LangChain. But right now, I will focus mainly on the Large Language Models Bootcamp. And we recently added this remote option to it, the entire bootcamp. This was a long-standing ask since we started last year. It so happens that we are only bootcamp in industry at the moment. The only bootcamp in the world at the moment. So the demand is there, but the demand in this case, many people, they wanted to ask, or they were interested in finding out if there is an online option. So for the next bootcamp that is going to happen, you have an option. You can attend that in person. But if you can, for any reason, if you cannot travel to Seattle to attend the bootcamp, there is a remote option. We have multiple cameras in the room and all the interaction, multiple mics. I mean, so it's almost like you're remote, but still in class, right? So you don't have to travel if you cannot, right? So it's basically that mixed a hybrid mode. It is a 40-hour immersive program. I will show you what the curriculum looks like shortly. So the bootcamp is going to cover, as I said, it's a comprehensive curriculum. Pretty much a lot of things that you would otherwise need. A lot of things let me actually walk through the curriculum in a moment. But everything that you would need to build a large language model application for an enterprise, we actually cover that in our bootcamp. And then it's think of it as 50% hands-on, 50% theory. So we will cover a topic, go to the hands-on exercise, then come back, discuss the theory, then a hands-on exercise, and so on. And on the last day of the project, there is going to be last day of the bootcamp, there is a hands-on project that we will be working on. These are our bootcamp partners. The list is growing. We have the leading names in industry. They are our partners. They are actually helping us in different areas. So these are some leading names in industry in the Gen AI space. When you attend the bootcamp, we give you credit for all the software. So the bootcamp actually includes the cost of licenses and subscription. So you can actually have a browser-enabled laptop. We have set up our sandboxes, as we call them, online coding environment, any virtual machines, any compute clusters that you need for any of the, any GPUs. We actually provide you that because we know that figuring out the logistics during the bootcamp, it is hard. So you'll get all of that, and then as a side note, your breakfast, lunch, everything is actually taken care of when you are on site in person. We know how to take care of people. And then we also have guest talks from industry, right? So it is very important for all of us to understand that technology can only take you so far. And understanding and appreciation of business side of it, how do you build a solution that actually has a business impact? So to that end, we have some of the industry speakers who are actually there to give talks. Some are fairly technical. Some talks are, I would say, less technical and more from business side. So it's a good mix of technical talks and technical learning plus the business side of it. I think that is there. Let me actually keep going here. So I will talk. Let me go over the curriculum here. This is a reference architecture that I will ask you to take a look at, and then we'll talk about it component by component. So if you look at this, at the core of a large language model, at the core of the large language model application, you have your the language model, right? So just a moment. This is need to zoom in. Okay, zoom out maybe a little bit. I hope this is visible to all of you. So at the core of it, you have an LLM. Think about Llama 2, Llama 3. You have GPT-4, GPT 3.5. You have Falcon. You have Anthropic. Claude is there. So many of some are closed source, some are open source. So at the core of it, your LLMs are there. And then on top of that, you need a vector database. And I will, talk about it, why would you need a vector database? You're creating embeddings or semantic representation of your documents. We'll talk about embeddings. We'll talk about, how do you store those embeddings in a vector database? Then a different kind of tools like large language models, caching. Why do you need a caching? How do you set up a cache? Then frameworks, orchestration frameworks like Llama Index or LangChain, you would need them. Then there is the concept of guardrails, right? So you need guardrails to make sure that the model prompts are compliant with your requirements. And then the model responses, your application responses, they are also compliant with your responses. Then you are going to be there's this deployment part of it. You have to deploy your app in some sort of on some kind of host. We actually cover this entire ecosystem, and I'm going to actually step by step. I'm going to show you. So let me go to our learning platform and start here. So if you look at this, we start our discussion with attention mechanism and transformer architecture, and actually step back, and we start our discussion with the high-level overview of what is going on in industry. We start with very simple idea, right? So how are LLMs different from what was happening in the past, right? So what makes them demonstrate semantic understanding. Then how do you store? So we talk about the very high level. I talk about the idea of embeddings. How do you store those embeddings? Why do you need a vector database? What is RAG? A very simple naive RAG example. What is retrieval augmented generation? We talk about that. We talk about guardrails. We talk about risks. We talk about prompt engineering. We talk about how an LLM works and all of that, right? So this is the first 2 hours of kicking off the bootcamp. We set the breadth of topics. So by the end of this, the first session or first 2 sessions, you understand what the bigger picture is, and then we go and start drilling deeper into each of the topics. Then we talk about text representation. How do you represent text as vectors? And then we talk about embeddings, and we talk about semantic embeddings. We talk about the encoder-decoder architecture, and we talk about the transformers and attention mechanism. And once we are done with that, we will have for every topic that you see, for instance, right? So after attention mechanism, we are going to vector databases. So we will cover vector databases in depth. And after every topic, whether it is embeddings, whether it is attention mechanism, whether it is vector databases, we have these exercises built into the platform. If you notice this, right? So right now I'm going to click on this. And when I click on this exercise actually opens right here. We provide you all of these. So VV8 is our partner on the vector database side. So you can see that we will give you access to a server and a vector database. And then you can see that everything is right here in your within your learning platform. And by now you know what a vector database is. We have covered all the theory. We take about 2 to 3 hours and about 2-ish hours on discussing the theory of vector databases. And once you're done with that, then you actually go, how do you create a collection? How do you import data? And how do you do a vector search and all of that? Once you're done with this, well, how do you perform a hybrid search? How do you do vector compression? How do you multi-tenancy in VV8, right? So if you look at this, what we have done here is we have lowered the barriers. So we have completely lowered the barriers. As a matter of fact, I mean, many people have attended this training who have minimal coding or minimal Python coding ability, and that's okay, right? So even if you're a product manager, I would strongly recommend, actually, we are looking for a product manager for a product that we have built. I mean, and then finding a product manager for a product like this, it is one of the hardest things, actually, because these products are quite nuanced. And if you are already a technical product manager, you need to have these kind of details, because no longer is it just about managing the customer and product timelines. You are actually now dealing with a very different beast, where you have to understand as a technical product manager, because you're making these trade-offs around a lot of product decisions. And a course like this can actually help you, even though it's a fairly technical course, but it is easy enough that you simply, you run the Jupyter Notebook, and that's it, right? So you run this Jupyter Notebook. You don't have to make any changes to the code. So you understand conceptually how things are done. And if you are a savvy developer, you can still actually go and make changes and get what you wanted to get out of it. So it's a good balance. If you are less technical, that's okay. If you're deeply technical, that's okay too. And we have options for everyone. So what do you do after that? We are going to talk about advanced RAG. So now that you understand what is vector database, so what is retrieval augmented generation, and then we talk about this in this session, a very detailed understanding of what can a complex RAG system look like. We have a module on prompt engineering. We have, once again, the same way. We have these labs, built-in labs for prompt engineering. And let's say if I open up this prompt hacking lab, right? So the same thing, I click on it, pops up in my screen, and then we go through this, all of these labs, and we leave you with a lot of work that you can do on your own. We spent around 3 to 4 hours on fine-tuning. So far, we are doing Llama 3 came out recently, but we need to update the curriculum. But Llama 2, a 7 billion 4-bit quantized model, we do a prompt fine-tuning of a Llama 2 7B 4-bit quantized model. We give you the GPU cloud. We start with, actually, on the theory side, we start with fine-tuning. We start with transfer learning, fine-tuning, and setting the context. We talk about quantization. What is quantization? What is low-rank adaptation? Explain what quantization, LoRa and QLoRa, what they do. And then we go and give you a data set, give you a GPU cloud. Again, we actually bear the cost of that GPU cloud. We give you that GPU cloud, give you the boilerplate code. You go and run this, you modify your Llama 2 model and compare it with an unfine-tuned model, and then compare the two. We have a session on conversational AI, and this is a great session because now industry is moving towards more domain-specific models. So this is a session on domain-specific models. We spent almost an entire day, about 6-ish hours, on LangChain. LangChain is this orchestration framework. We go into every possible detail that is out there on LangChain. If you look at this, we talk about language models, prompt templates, chat models, output parsers. We talk about all of these. We talk about retrieval. We talk about chains. Let's say if I go inside chains here, you can see we talk about simple sequential chains, summarization chains, etc. When we talk about memory, different kind of memory, fixed length buffers, or some kind of, more advanced memory approaches. We also talk about multi-agents. We also talk about, this agentic behavior of LangChain, and then we have labs around that. All of that happens in class. You can see. And of course, you can see that this is a lot of content. LangChain itself can be, a few days worth of learning. But what we do is we set the foundation. We give you an idea of what LangChain is, giving you enough in each of the categories, and then leave you with these labs so you can be practicing on your own. Then we are now incorporating some of the newer features like Langsmith, not Langsmith, actually LangGraph. It's something that is something exciting. Basically, think about this: some agents interacting together. It's almost like instead of a single AI agent, multiple AI agents that are interacting with each other. What else is there? Let me see. Did I show you? Right. So the same drill, even LangChain, you click on it, the lab pops up. We give you the API keys. We give you our own OpenAI subscription, and you use it. And you can see that we go through it. We basically, you will, by the end of this session, you will actually understand how applications are built and the plumbing is done. Then when we go here, what else is remaining? We are going to observability and guardrails, right? So we also talk about monitoring your model. Once you deploy it, you have to keep monitoring it. How do you set up guardrails? We talk about that. We also talk about productionizing. How do you deploy the model or deploy an app end-to-end? We also have a session on AI governance, data and AI governance, because for those of you who may have interacted with some LLM applications, right? So once it is, whether it is RAG pipeline or you're building a fine-tuned model, the data that goes into building these models, you have to really, really make sure that the data is, you have to really make sure that the data is, it does not have any personally identifiable information. It does not have any intellectual property. And how do you actually make sure that your solution it is compliant with your company policies or perhaps regulatory policies within your industry? On the last day of the bootcamp, we have a project. We give you, once again, some resources, some tools, some code, your own VMs, and then everyone builds an application end to end. Everyone starts, and of course, we give you boilerplate code. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible within a day. But we give you a pre-configured, set up repositories, and you take those repositories and you deploy them, and you leave with your own working application deployed in Streamlit Cloud. You have your own application URL. Then we give you exercises. Hey, how do you incorporate this chain? How do you add this guardrail? How do you install buffer memory? How do you can you add a Wikipedia agent in addition to a DuckDuckGo agent? So those kind of things that give you an idea. They give you an idea of what does an application look like. And once again, I do not want to intimidate people because people tend to think that, hey, I don't know any coding. We have had a lot of success with people who don't know coding, because the approach that we are taking is that everything is pre-configured, everything is set up. For those who don't know coding, they have nothing to fear, because they can actually run, and you can still see in the Jupyter Notebook, right? So yeah, I'm seeing this. I can go down. If you look at this, up. So they can still run it, and they don't. The code is functioning and running. At the same time, for those who are advanced, in programming, they can actually, I can save this as a different name. And then once I've saved this as a different name, I can modify this. And it stays in my because everyone gets a dedicated space in this learning environment. You have access to all of this for 1 year from the day of the bootcamp. So if you look at this, right? So it's the way we have set this up is whether you have minimal coding ability or you have a lot of coding ability, it should not matter. The course is for anyone who's I think it's more your motivation. It's more the intent that matters. And if you have the intent, we have ways to actually teach you. So I think, Dan, you have a question that is somewhat related to what I'm talking about. So Dan has a question. What are the prerequisites for learning about LLMs? Any mathematics? I'm intermediate in Python and know some machine learning. You're more than qualified to attend, Dan, because we have had people who had very beginner level understanding of Python, and they were able to actually attend the bootcamp and finish the bootcamp and learn from it very successfully. The interesting part about any mathematics, right? So while mathematics can be helpful, the fun thing is, while mathematics can be helpful, the reality of it is that unless still building LLM applications for enterprise, it is still 95, maybe I would say 98%. It is still good old software engineering. It is, we may be tempted to believe that I have to know every single, matrix operation that is happening in the when I'm using transformers. I do not. I mean, so as long as I am aware of which library to use and how to use it, that should be okay. But having said that, we take a middle ground, right? So some courses in large language models, they can be deeply mathematical. Some can be this mindless application of libraries. What we try to do is we try to find this right balance between too much theory and too much application. So we do talk about the intuitive aspect of how the math side of it, but not to the point that we try to explain it in a way that any math that is needed, it is anyone who has finished high school, they should be able to understand what it is. Because at the end of the day, I mean, matrix operations and all of that, I mean, these are high. We learn these concepts at high level, and somewhere along the way, I mean, we get sort of disgruntled. We think math is difficult, but math is not that difficult, actually. So you don't have to worry about it, right? So you don't have to worry about the math part of it. In most cases, I'm pretty confident you will be fine. Okay. Let me see what we have. And meanwhile, please keep these questions coming. What else do I have here? We've talked about the curriculum, the technology stack. So the technology stack that we have is we are using actually vector databases. I think this slide needs to be updated. We brought in VV8, which is one of the leading databases in industry, right? So we use VV8, one of the. I mean, I was fascinated. I mean, I'd used vector databases, but when I looked into VV8, I said, "Wow! I mean, this is awesome." So VV8 is our partner for vector databases. We use on the foundation model side. We use, among others, we use a mix of closed source and open source models. You can see the different models that we use during our presentation during our bootcamp. Then there is in orchestration, we have been using LangChain, and now Llama Index also is coming on board starting next bootcamp. On the deployment side, or LLM operations, or monitoring and deployment side, we have a few different players. Labs, they are more into logging and monitoring and guardrails. RunPod is our GPU resources when we are using any fine tuning when we have this GPU workloads. We use then ZenML, and then now we have Union coming in. Union AI, they are coming in next time. Deployment, as I said, we use Hugging Face and Streamlit for deployment, so you can leave with a working app on your that has your own. You deployed it through your GitHub account. That's your own working app. So we have talked about. I've given an idea for all of this. Actually, let me see if I have missed anything. I think I mentioned on the last day, we have a project that we will be doing. This is our list of instructors. If you look at this is, and this is not everyone teaches all the time. For the last bootcamp that we did, we had I was teaching. Louis was there. Louis teaches transformers and attention mechanism and encoded decoded architecture. Ofer is from Vectera. Ofer taught more of a rag-in-a-box type topics. Then conversational AI, it was Karthik was there. Then Rehan actually he's the CEO of Security AI, and he talked about the data and AI governance needs, and then how do you implement that. You can see, right? So Zen was covered VV8, vector databases. This was actually a great session. Once again, Hamza was around. He taught deployment. And so if you look at this, why do we have so many instructors? You want to learn from people, not that. So yes, I mean, some people who have attended conferences and they know things in theory. Everyone who's teaching whatever topic they're teaching, they have actually done this in real life. They live and breathe. They go to bed thinking about those topics, and they wake up, and they're thinking about these things, right? So, if you look at this, everyone here, whatever they're teaching, they do that for a living. They have a product, or they're completely absorbed in this space, and which makes that learning experience very, very different because they know all the issues. They know all the technical issues. They know all the business issues, and it makes the interaction actually very, very valuable. These are our partners. I mean, so our partners actually, they have been enjoying this journey with us. As I said, we are the only bootcamp in industry. And then we had even if after, I mean, maybe some courses they have started popping up, but we have these collaborations with industries, right? So one of the leading players in the respective technologies that help you in building these applications. We have our relationships that they provide the world-class instructors, world-class engineers, and and they are actually building products that are mainstream, right? So, it's basically you get to learn from the best and the brightest. This is our customers, right? So, I mean, if this list is growing, I don't think we updated this from our last boot camp, but you can see that we have people traveling internationally to attend the boot camp, as far as from Australia, Middle East, people have attended within US. People have traveled, right? So many of the customers are actually returning customers who have attended our data science bootcamp. So you can see some of the names. Most of the names should be familiar, but we have been adding logos to this list. Real people, go check it out. I mean, these people are on our website. Go ask them what do they think about the bootcamp, right? So, and then you should be able to actually tell. Now, the next bootcamp is actually, so this is going to be a hybrid bootcamp. So we will have, some attendees in class, because we have been getting an overwhelming number of requests. Hey, when are you doing this online? So what we will do in this case is we will have, we have a good classroom, multi-camera, multi-mic type setup, where you will have some of your cohort members who will be physically present in Seattle, and then you can be in the comfort of your home, because many people actually are international. They are maybe in different states. I mean, they think that it would be cost prohibitive, or maybe they have some responsibilities that can prevent them from traveling. So we will, we are this time we are experimenting with this hybrid approach, where you can still ask questions live. You can interact with your peers in person, who are in person, and we did a limited pilot this time, but now we are opening it up to general public. So if you attend for the Seattle at the next boot camp, it is going to be, we'll ask you whether you want to, are you attending in person? Go ahead and register if you want to attend online, and we'll send you the instructions. So, but you will have to choose between Seattle and in person. So that is it. I see a few more questions. There is, I think, Dan, you have this question. How long did it take you personally to what you needed? I'm still learning, Dan. I mean, I'm not. I mean, this is not fake humility. I think the space is changing so quickly. I learn every day. I mean, so it's almost like this. If space is evolving so much, I can give you an idea. So we started this boot camp back in September, and the boot camp has, I think, 40% of the content is actually new content. It is changing so quickly. The advanced RAG module, it was added just this, like the bootcamp that ended 2 weeks ago, because we thought, query routing, multiple agents, agentic interaction between agents and all of that, things have been changing very, very quickly. So I would say that I've been working on this. I mean, I've been in machine learning space for close to, I don't know, I mean, half of my life, right? So, I mean, a good amount of time. My PhD work, if you count that, right? So about 6-ish years in Microsoft, then like about 6 years Microsoft, and now here. So I've been in machine learning for quite some time. But for this generative AI, actually building things, I would say about 1+ years. Maybe a little over 1.5 years, I would say. Right? So that's, but I mean, machine learning has been around. I've been doing machine learning for pretty much as long as I can remember. So that's my honest answer. I'm still learning, but that's the case with most of us at the moment. I mean, the space is evolving a lot. But if your question is, what you needed for LLMs, if you are talking about, how quickly can you start building an application, I would say that by the end of the bootcamp, if you are already know how to code, and you're already in technology, by the end of the bootcamp, most people, they are able to actually build a basic app. but there are scalability issues that we have a product, and I deal with those on a daily basis, right? So, hey, why is this latency so high? Have we made sure that this is secure, and do we have the right access control? And so there are so many nuanced issues. I'm still learning. Okay. Let me see. There are more questions. Mahantesh, with so much of changes in element handout, how do you even apply them in real time? By the time we decide to use one, it would be outdated. So, Mahantesh, this is a great question, and I think I touched upon this. A bit. We are actually very actively modifying the content. We are very actively actually changing the content. So I think I touched upon this, that very often what happens is that we are in our engineering team meetings, we are discussing certain issues, and a few weeks later, we find out that LangChain or Llama Index or someone else actually came up with this, right? So internally, I can give you an example, right? So chunking is a problem, right? So, hey, I don't like this approach. I wish there was a better way to approach chunking of documents. And then you find out, hey, as we expected, they came up with, different kind of chunking approach, right? So, hey, is it possible to learn from, whatever the user is, maybe some from the feedback pipeline, or there is this approach. Can we use both retrieval augmentation and fine tuning? And guess what? I mean, a few months down the road, you find out that there is a paper called Raft. I mean, then someone exactly came up with this idea. So it's actually at the same. I mean, it's exciting and also I would say humbling at the same time. That how much there is to be learned. So. And we incorporate those changes very quickly. One thing, if it is not already obvious, is I'm a practitioner as well, right? So I'm not teaching it based on some curriculum that we found out somewhere. We are actually building products with billion-dollar companies relying on our products, and we are our thought process has been shaped by these relentless customer obsession, and this, I mean, maybe in some cases customers who are not for demanding. So and they keep you honest. They actually they force you to learn, and then when we have those learnings, we share that joy, that excitement with our customers and show them what is a better way of doing this. So it's an ongoing pursuit. I 100% agree with you. It is changing. But if you mean by real time, within a day, of course, it is not possible, right? So but our curriculum gets updated very frequently. And we will leave you in a position that when things change, you have that mental model and you have that basic foundation that you should be able to learn. You should be able to learn what you wanted to learn. And you are able to identify what the new technique is doing, the why part of the technique, and how can be figured out. Okay. Are there any other questions, anyone? Okay. In that case, let me just quickly review if there are any other. Sounds good. So what I will ask you to do is the next course that is coming up, please go ahead and take a look. This is our Large Language Models Bootcamp page. Go check it out. Okay, go check it out. And then we have these short courses. If you like, we have this one coming up next week, Large Language Models for Everyone. Go check it out. This is a very short duration course for really anyone who wants to get started. You don't have to have a solid background. Then the other course that we have is, as I said, 40-hour bootcamp is there. That is hybrid now. You can attend it online too. Then we have this short duration courses, and then we have this, a course coming up on LangChain, which is sometime this month, actually. I'm forgetting the dates. But you get the idea. In this case, you basically, it's a shorter duration course in case you don't have the time to attend the entire course. This is you don't have the time to attend the entire bootcamp. This is on May 14th. Okay. And in case there are no other questions, we'll just give it maybe a few more seconds. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you at the bootcamp. Please feel free to reach out to us through our website, and happy to set up a time, set up an advisor call. And usually, if I have my calendars available, I actually try to take the advisor calls myself to make sure that we find the right fit. So please feel free to set up a time. Thank you, everyone.